Tonight, Toronto's Margaret Atwood, once again, the toast of London.
Margaret Atwood for The Testaments and Bernadine Evaristo for Girl, Woman, Other.
Margaret Atwood wins the Booker Prize for her sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, but has to share the honor. Plus,
since this is our family, so we are enjoying that Thanksgiving with them.
Two families who first met in a Sri Lankan refugee camp 5 years ago reunite to give thanks for their new lives in Canada. And ever wonder how that cranberry sauce made it to your Thanksgiving table? We'll let you know how you can wade into Ontario's cranberry industry. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. We begin, though, with a developing story. The eastbound lanes of the 401 remain closed at this hour after a multi-vehicle crash this Thanksgiving Monday. Police say 5 cars collided just before 8 o'clock near Trafalgar Road. Again, in the eastbound lanes, there were a number of people injured, including a 14-year-old girl. Paramedics rushed her to hospital. As they said, eastbound traffic on the 401 is backed up as a result of this closure at this hour. Oh, a huge win for Margaret Atwood tonight. She was one of 2 authors awarded the Booker Prize in London. That is the biggest literary prize in the UK. She won for The Testaments, her sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. And as Kelda Yun tells us, local bookshop owners are thrilled to see the Toronto author in the international spotlight.
They were already big fans of Margaret Atwood's The Testaments at Type Books on Queen Street West.
It's a wildly popular book already.
And Kyle Buckley says sales of the sequel to A Handmaid's Tale will just get better now after tonight's big win at the Booker Prize in London.
There were 2 novels, not that we couldn't let go of, but that we desperately wanted to win this year's prize.
In a surprise, judges awarded both. Margaret Atwood winning for The Testaments and Bernadine Evaristo for her novel Girl, Woman, Other.
I'm very surprised. I would have thought that I would have been too elderly.
At 79, Atwood is now the oldest Booker Prize winner. And Evaristo, she also made history.
I'm the first black woman to win this prize.
It would have been embarrassing to have won it all by myself. I don't exactly need the attention. So what these prizes do really is they should open doors for writers, but also for readers to become acquainted with books they may not have heard about before.
The judges are breaking the rules by declaring a tie. Now, the last time that happened was back in 1992. After that, the rules were changed to allow for only 1 winner. But after 5 hours of deliberations, this year's judges decided they couldn't choose one over the other, so they broke their own rules. Buckley remembers Atwood doing a book signing at the store when it opened over a decade ago.
So she's definitely been a great friend to us as an independent bookstore.
He thinks the popularity of A Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments speaks to the times we live in.
Well, I think that it reminds us to be afraid of what can happen when we lose rights.
This is Atwood's 2nd Booker Prize. This time she will be donating her prize money to fund scholarships for Canadian Indigenous students studying the environment. Kelda Yun, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, at one Scarborough home today, 2 families who first met at a refugee camp years ago are giving thanks together for the first time in Canada.
Most of our family members are back home. We have no family and friends here. So this is our family, these are our friends. And Thanksgiving is all about family get-together. So since this is our family, so we are enjoying that Thanksgiving with them.
The Mushtaq family hosted a Thanksgiving lunch earlier today. Now, among the guests were the Shakibs, who had just arrived in our city. Now, 5 years ago, the 2 families met in a Sri Lankan refugee camp after fleeing Pakistan. The Mushtaqs arrived here in 2015 and helped set up a charity called Refugees for Refugees. Now, through that agency and with the help of a local church, they were able to sponsor their old friends, the Shakibs. Colette Kennedy's here with a first look at the forecast. And tonight is the night. If you have any valuable plants outside that you can bring inside, you might want to do so.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We are talking about some really chilly temperatures, some frost developing. It's quite likely. And we're going to see some numbers that are very close to, and in some cases, going down to freezing. So it's the other thing to keep in mind is that tomorrow morning, it's going to be very chilly out there. So if you're sending kids off walking to school or to the bus stop to wait, whatever it might be, we're talking toques, maybe some mitts. The layers, you really need those, and they can be peeled off into the afternoon. These are some of the morning lows at 8 a.m. So this is what I'm talking about. Toronto at only about 2 degrees. That's what we'll be looking at. We will warm up nicely, but I'll also let you know clouds will be on the increase, and then late Tuesday into Wednesday, a system's going to come in here, and this one's going to be a soaker. I'm going to talk about that a little more coming up later in the show, because you can see that's Wednesday morning. For now, this is what we have tonight, 2 degrees. The high tomorrow, though, 14, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Toronto police releasing an image tonight of a man they believe was involved in a hit and run that badly injured a 20-month-old baby yesterday. Police say they found surveillance video showing this man ditching a suspect video and fleeing on foot near St. Clair Avenue East and O'Connor Road. Now, on Sunday around 10 in the morning, a gray Dodge van blew through a red light and mounted a curb in Scarborough, hitting 2 women and that baby. All 3 people in that van fled the scene. Now, police have identified them and released their names: Corey Monroe, Derek D'Souza, and Amanda Ryu. And police continue to search tonight for suspects in the city's latest murder. Police say several shooters got out of a car near Finch and Martin Grove last night and opened fire on 28-year-old Farhan Jama. Now, those who knew him are dealing with the shock of his death, saying they can't understand why anyone would want him dead. Talia Ricci has that story.
An emotional father shares his son's best qualities.
He was a good boy, polite, educated. He was educated, he was humble, he was helping his family. Very kind.
A steady stream of loved ones visiting the family home today tell us Farhan Jama was walking home from work last night carrying some takeout when he was killed outside his door.
I need justice. I'm okay, but his mother is sick. She don't know anything. Because she have seen her son dying here in front of the house.
Several people called 911 after hearing the gunshots. Many ran outside and stayed with the young man. The 28-year-old died on scene. Police say 20 shell casings were found in the area, and for that reason, they believe the shooting could have been targeted, but they're still investigating.
I can tell you that there was one address that had a bullet go through the window. A second address had a bullet go through the frame and then through the residence as well. So they were firing very sort of indiscriminately, at our deceased.
Those who knew him can't grasp why. Police say he had no gang affiliations and was not known to them.
You come an innocent person, you come shot the... Why? We're shocked because the boy was a good boy. He was a nice boy, good family. He finished just the university. He done. That is not fair.
Along with the tears today came a plea.
We can't let our kids play outside. We're taking our kids like a childhood, like they can't play outside. They can't take bike. We're really scared.
We need help. We need help.
A member of a large family and community, loved ones say Jama will be missed.
And he loved life. He loved life very much.
Police do have some security footage, but they're still appealing for witnesses tonight. They're also looking for a newer, dark-colored sedan. Police also wanted to remind people today that if they're feeling afraid to speak out, there are ways that they can give the police tips while protecting their identity. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, it's now been 1 month since Jonathan Davis was shot and killed just steps away from his home in Malton. The 17-year-old was an innocent bystander when several shooters opened fire, leaving behind over 100 shell casings. Well, now, as the Darcel Avenue community continues to heal, the memory of Davis lives on. Angelina King has more.
Some of the flowers have wilted, the crime scene cleared up, but Jonathan Davis and the brazen violence that killed him not forgotten.
Yeah, so this is where I came out, and when I came out, I looked to the right. I seen Jonathan laying there with his mother holding him. So if you want, we could just walk over to the spot. To see like him grow up now to the good kid he was, and then to see how he died, like it was just traumatic at the time.
Javon Samuels was holding his 1-year-old son when he first heard this. Everyone thought it was firecrackers. Afterwards, Samuel says he couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't find the energy to do things he loved. He's lived in Malton all his life and says while violence has been ongoing for years, this was different.
Other people who are seeing what happened, who are also like have nothing to do with what's going on, like they're gonna fear for their lives too. Because in a way I did too, because I'm like, I don't have any problems with anybody in the neighborhood, but it's like nowadays it doesn't even matter.
More than 100 shots fired by at least 7 people wearing masks, some armed with semi-automatics, killing Davis and injuring 5 others. Police say most of them also innocent bystanders. The shooting, police believe, motivated by a music video filmed in the area. Samuel says Malton may have a bad reputation, but it's more than that. He says there's talent, unity, and now a community that's healing together.
At a time, I felt like I was the only one going through what I was going through and how I felt the way I felt. But once I seen that I'm not the only one, then, you know, it made me feel a lot better.
Family, friends, and community members packed a church over the weekend to lay Davis to rest. Among gospel songs and somber poetry, his family and friends shared their memories and their pain.
He's very caring, and I don't understand why this happened to him.
A son his family depended on. Davis helped his father, who's losing his sight, and no matter what, he was always early to pick up his 3-year-old sister from daycare.
He exuded kindness and pulled generosity and altruism out from everyone he touched. He was everyone's best friend.
Using, of course, his favorite color, which is blue.
Tiana Kennedy painted her pain.
That day was actually a nice day. It was a good day, sunny day. Kids were out here playing.
She says while people have come together in the close-knit community since the shooting, it's been more quiet, like there's a cast over the building.
You don't really hear people as much. You don't really hear kids out here. You hear one little sound nowadays, people are kind of like, flinching.
And that fear still exists here because 1 month later, no arrests have been made. Davis's family says it's difficult to get closure when those behind his death are still out there. Angelina King, CBC News, Mississauga.
Ever wonder where these guys come from? I'm Natalie Nanowski in Bala at one of the province's only remaining cranberry farms. These little berries are native to North America, and I'll have more on how they're grown coming up.
If you had a Thanksgiving dinner this weekend or even leftovers tonight, chances are you had some cranberries on your table. The little red berry is actually native to North America. We sent our Natalie Nanowski to Bala in Muskoka to see how the fruit is grown and what else it can be used for.
You know, it's kind of the northern lemon. That's the way I call it.
Lemon.
Yeah, the
That's a good
northern
way.
lemon, yeah. So we can't grow lemons here, but we can grow cranberries. So you want to try one?
Yeah, sure. Do this one. Are the white ones not as ripe?
This one's pretty good. It's just been sort of covered by the vines.
Murray Johnston's family has been in the berry business since the 50s. Muskoka Lakes Farm and Winery produces about 500 pounds of cranberries a year.
The cranberry actually is an interesting plant. It loves an acid soil. Muskoka is a perfect environment for that because we have lots of water, lots of peat bogs, and a good climate. You know, you get too far south, it's warm, and they're sort of a subarctic species.
Once the berries are ripe, the fields are flooded, and a machine combs the vines, picking the red and white berries.
So for those people who have maybe never tried a cranberry, how would you describe it?
Well, I think they're great because they're very sharp, very bitter, but refreshing.
Turns out the industry can also be a little bit harsh. After Johnston and his wife took over the farm from his father, they realized traditional methods weren't going to keep their family afloat.
Well, we ran into some tough years in the late 90s. There was an overproduction and the price fell. So we were looking at diversifying, and I'd gotten interested in the wine industry.
They started with 600 cases of cranberry wine in 2001.
And at one point, we thought maybe we'd overshot. So we were a little nervous when we opened our doors, and we were actually sold out in 16 days.
They've also expanded to ecotourism. You can walk the grounds, watch the fall harvest, or take the plunge.
The best part about all of this is you can be a cranberry farmer for the day. Just put on a pair of hip waders and step into a pond filled with hundreds and thousands of cranberries.
We've developed that into an experience for people, and it's been very popular the last couple of years. You know, for example, we have a poor crop this year due to weather and insect issues and that kind of stuff. But I'm not worried about it because I know there's other sources of revenue that can support the families that live off our farm.
From preserves to wine and cider, now sold at the LCBO. The Johnston's Cranberry Farm is one of 2 left in Ontario, and it's open all year round. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Bala, Ontario.
Canada's fastest man serving up Thanksgiving lunch in Regent Park. What do we got on the menu here, Andre?
I'm serving over here some jerk chicken, so.
Jerk chicken, well, it looks great. It smells even better. I'm Greg Ross. Coming up, we talk to Andre DeGrasse about giving back to the community and getting ready for Tokyo 2020.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Andre DeGrasse is back home in the GTA, and he's giving back. Fresh off a 2-medal performance at the World Track and Field Championships in Qatar, he hosted a Thanksgiving lunch today in Regent Park through his new family foundation. Our Greg Ross was there.
It was a Thanksgiving feast with all the fixings, part of a big homecoming for Andre DeGrasse, who spends most of his time these days training in the U.S.
I've been thinking about for the past, couple months, when I come back, want to have something special for the community.
And special it was for many of these kids as their hero helped serve them their food.
I'm so proud of him.
And also a special moment for DeGrasse's mother, who says her son was giving back long before he was famous. When he was 16 years old, DeGrasse volunteered at the Yonge Street Mission.
Thank you. We help kids with homework and played sports with them.
But these days, it's all about posing for pictures and taking time to meet with many of these kids face to face. These guys came to see you.
Nice to see you.
What is that? How does that feel right now? He's standing right here in front of you. How does it feel?
Good.
Some were at a loss for words, others not so much.
I said, "Can I have your signature?" Then he said, "Okay."
What's your question for him?
How are you so calm when you run, when you're running?
I'm actually a little bit nervous, but I try to stay calm, take deep breaths.
I used to watch him when I was little, and I would see him, and he would look so calm when he ran, and he would win those ones.
That calm demeanor was on full display earlier this month at the World Championships in Qatar, where DeGrasse took home 2 medals, a silver in the 200-meter race and a bronze in the 100 meters.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great confidence booster for me. Coming out of Qatar, coming off of injuries, just coming back into it and just trying to do the best that I can. So it feels pretty good.
DeGrasse hopes to carry that confidence with him into next year's Tokyo Olympics.
If I show up to the line and I'm healthy and I'm feeling good, I feel like I got a great shot.
And these kids will be watching, cheering him on, and dreaming.
It's very exciting. I want to be like him when I'm older.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette is back with her extended forecast. We're going to need everything this week. The winter coat, maybe some gloves, an umbrella.
Yes. Yep, galoshes. You got it. Start the list. And if for the toques and the gloves and things like that, if you haven't found them yet because you haven't had to bring them out, tonight might be the night to do that. Tomorrow morning is going to be a chilly start. I know we've had a few frost advisories. Really take this one to heart, though, because we're going to see some of the coolest temperatures we've seen. Then for tomorrow, most of tomorrow dry. I put it that way because late in the day, some isolated showers may begin to develop into the evening. Primarily, it'll be overnight tomorrow night into Wednesday. We get into a rainy midweek, Wednesday being the wettest day that we'll be seeing. So this is tomorrow morning. Those cool readings, yes, we're talking 0 to 2 degrees in some cases. That's all we're going to have. Then as we get into the evening hours, you'll see showers developing in southwestern Ontario, the clouds increasing certainly towards the GTA, and then overnight, especially into the morning commute, it's looking like timing-wise at this point, could be some heavier rains pushing through at that time, but there's still going to be some residual shower activity coming back through into the afternoon hours. So this is going to be a pretty juicy system that's going to take some time to work its way through. We'll have a couple of days where we're still going to have some precipitation into the forecast. It's also going to be bringing us a significant amount of rain. Now, these are just some of the model projections at this point, taking it into the afternoon after the heaviest stuff has pushed through on Wednesday. So Kitchener wanting to go over 30 millimeters here with this. Hamilton, Toronto keeping it closer to around 15. I would say the best bet at this point is to look at it at about 20 to 30 millimeters with the system moving through. So that's not just showery activity. Now, it will be lighter like that as we get, as I say, later in the day on Wednesday. Overnight tonight, look at these readings. Windsor with clear skies, 2 degrees, Sarnia down to freezing, increasing clouds, and a chance for some isolated showers tomorrow afternoon. The later you get in the day, that chance increases. GTA, look at these numbers. it gives you a moment to pause, doesn't it? We're talking about 1 degree, Oshawa mark of freezing, 2, as I say, for Toronto. And there you go. You know, it's just a cool start. It's actually going to be a decent afternoon as we see the temperature popping up to 14 degrees, but the clouds coming in. And there you go into that wet Wednesday. Some cooler temperatures through the week until we get to next weekend. So we got to really hold on for this one. Next weekend is looking, at this point, pretty nice, though.
All right. Thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
And we have a quick update to that closure of the 401 at Trafalgar Road in Mississauga. Police are now beginning to clear the scene. They say vehicles are being towed. The highway should reopen shortly. And some potential good news about that 14-year-old girl who was rushed to hospital. Police say her injuries are not life-threatening. We'll be right back. In what could be seen as a bold move on Thanksgiving, our cameras caught several turkeys running wild in the Windsor area.
Hello. Good morning.
Well, residents say the birds have been peacocking around their neighborhood for weeks. The birds are docile and there haven't been any reports of foul play. Now, the wild turkey population's apparently been thriving in that area. That might be because people have been feeding the birds, even though that is discouraged. Now, you can't feed on the birds, though. Hunting them is illegal. Before we go, a huge interview for Tom Power tomorrow. Sir Elton John will join him to reflect on his 50-year career and why he's saying goodbye to life on the road. That's tomorrow at 10 on CBC Radio 1. See you back here tomorrow night at 11. Good night.